This is Middle East Brief with Avi Kaner, your daily intelligence update on what actually matters.
Today, many people assume Israelis and Palestinians have always lived behind checkpoints, security barriers, and strict permit systems. They have not. There was a time when hundreds of thousands of interactions between Israelis and Palestinians took place every single day, not on the battlefield, not at checkpoints, but on construction sites, factories, farms, hotels, restaurants. For decades, Palestinians crossed into Israel each morning to work alongside Israelis and returned home each evening. So what changed? Before the First Intifada erupted in 1987, Israel's economy relied heavily on Palestinian labor. Prior to the 1967 Six-Day War, the West Bank was occupied by Jordan and Gaza was occupied by Egypt. 0 Palestinians worked in Israel. But everything changed after Israel's victory in 1967. By the mid-1980s, 40% of the Palestinian workforce in the West Bank and Gaza were employed inside Israel, in construction, agriculture, manufacturing, tourism. Palestinian workers helped build homes, roads, businesses, and infrastructure throughout Israel. In return, they earned significantly higher wages than were available in the West Bank or Gaza. Those salaries became one of the largest sources of income for Palestinian families and contributed substantially to the Palestinian economy. This was a period of remarkable economic integration. Israel benefited from the labor, Palestinians benefited from the employment. Even after the Oslo peace process began in the 1990s, that integration remained strong. By the late 1990s, 140,000 Palestinians worked inside Israel, the overwhelming majority from the West Bank. Many believed economic cooperation could help build a more peaceful future. But history took a very different path. The first turning point came with the First Intifada. Beginning in 1987, widespread unrest, riots, and attacks led Israel to reassess its security policies. Israel gradually introduced individual work permits, periodic border closures, additional security screening. Israeli employers also began hiring increasing numbers of foreign workers from countries such as Thailand, Romania, China, and the Philippines to reduce dependence on Palestinian labor. But the most dramatic transformation came after the Second Intifada began in 2000. Israel endured hundreds of suicide bombings and terrorist attacks. Buses exploded during the morning commute. Restaurants were bombed during dinner. Hotels, shopping malls, nightclubs, cafes, markets, and city streets. No place felt safe. More than 1,000 Israelis were killed. Thousands more were injured. Virtually every Israeli family knew someone who had been affected. The attacks fundamentally changed how Israelis viewed security. Israel responded with sweeping measures. Individual work permits became far more restrictive, security screening intensified, checkpoints expanded, and construction began on the security barrier in and around parts of the West Bank. These measures dramatically reduced terrorist attacks and saved countless lives. Whatever one's views, understanding why these policies emerged requires understanding the security environment that produced them. They did not emerge in a vacuum. They followed years of sustained terrorism that fundamentally changed Israeli society. It is worth asking an honest question. How would any country respond after enduring hundreds of suicide bombings that killed more than 1,000 of its citizens? Would it leave its border policies unchanged? Would it continue issuing entry permits under the same rules? Or would it tighten security, increase screening, and reassess who is allowed to enter? Israel answered those questions the way any other country would after facing a sustained campaign of mass casualty terrorism. The impact on employment was immediate. The number of Palestinians working inside Israel fell sharply to around 40,000 people during the height of the conflict. Economic integration gave way to security separation. Yet the story did not end there. As security conditions gradually improved, Israel slowly extended the number of work permits once again. Before the Hamas attack on October 7, 2023, 150,000 Palestinians from the West Bank once again held permits to work inside Israel. Their wages contributed billions of shekels each year to the Palestinian economy. Then came October 7. Hamas terrorists crossed into Israel. More than 1,200 people were murdered. Hundreds were taken hostage. It became the deadliest day in Israel's history. Once again, Israel dramatically reduced Palestinian work permits while reassessing its security policies. Once again, security concerns reshaped economic integration. Whether one agrees with these policies or not, the historical pattern is remarkably consistent. Periods of relative calm have generally been accompanied by greater economic cooperation. Periods of terrorism have been followed by tighter security restrictions. Security and prosperity have rarely been opposing forces. In this conflict, they have often risen and fallen together. The story of Palestinian employment in Israel is not simply about labor. It is about trust. When trust grew, opportunities expanded. When trust collapsed, separation followed. Understanding that history requires recognizing the sequence of events. This week, there has been a concerted effort in global media to vilify Israel for not allowing Palestinians to enter Israel for work. But without historical context, it becomes easy to mistake consequence for cause. If Israelis and Palestinians are ever to return to the level of economic cooperation they once enjoyed, it will require something more than permits and checkpoints. It will require security, trust, and the confidence that people crossing the border each morning for work will return home each evening in peace. That is a future worth striving for.
This is Middle East Brief with Avi Kaner. If you want clarity, not noise, follow and share. Continue the conversation on X at Avi Kaner. Back tomorrow